Greetings, friends. I'm going to give another update on the anti-lockdown protests. I don't always give these updates because there's not always really much to say. I mean, you all know that the crackdown is ongoing, so there's nothing new there. But I thought I would give an update when there's a new development, when something happens. And today I went down to Queen's Park, and it looks like the Yahoo Nation is basically crushed. Now, I'm not saying that to be cynical, but it's good to be honest with ourselves. It's good to recognize what the situation is. And basically, we didn't really adapt. Maybe that's not our fault, because when you need to have a regular place to gather, but the police just kept preparing more and more each of the last 3 Saturdays. And this time they started shutting it down right at 12 o'clock. Like, I got out of Museum Station, which is right by the north end of Queen's Park, like right after 12 o'clock, and I already saw like the police coming in to disperse people. I mean, there were less than 20 people there at the time. So basically it was crushed, not necessarily because the police, well, that's part of the reason, but we just haven't had the numbers. So let's be honest, we haven't had the numbers. People are okay with lockdowns. People like lockdowns in Canada. Well, I'm exaggerating, but most people don't care because they're getting money, they're paid, and they lack the balls to stand up. Most people are not business owners. Most people work for corporations or government, so they get pensions, they get paid from home. So this is just what we're stuck with. Now, over time, once the weather, I mean, we're in the dead of winter right now. It's like -9. It's that's part of the reason why we're not getting the numbers. But it's not good, and I'll be the first one to admit that. So it's been a fun ride, and I hope to see all of you again. But just to give you an example of what I was experiencing today, like I was standing by the north end of the legislature, west corner. I met a friend there because I initially saw what was going on. I left. I came back a few minutes later, a different part of the park. And my friend met me there, and we're literally just standing there for 30 seconds when a bike cop comes up to me and gives me the spiel about how you cannot gather in groups of 5 or more. And I said, well, can we exercise? And he's like, yes, but you can exercise, but you need to keep moving. And I said, well, can we take a breather? And he said, you've had enough time for your breather. Move along. And he said, if I were you, I would move along, because today is not the day to be pushing buttons. And by the way, this cop had an Australian accent, or maybe it was New Zealand accent, I don't know, somewhere down under. So the first time in my life in Canada that I've ever been hassled by a cop for just standing on a sidewalk, like not near any other people, just my friend. Like there were like no one within hundreds of yards of us. The first time this ever happened to me in Canada, and it's like some cop with an Australian accent. So I don't know if that's just a random coincidence, or they're shipping over some of the specialists from Australia, because we know that parts of Australia around Melbourne have had like the world's leading, most militarized lockdown. That would be one way of putting it. So I don't know what's going on there, if that was just a random coincidence. So we moved along because he was threatening to give us an $800 ticket, which I don't want to get. So, but still, even though there were like probably less than 100 people showed up, the cops are still chasing us all over the park. So we're still able to just keep them moving. Now, I'm not trying to, say it's better than it is. It's a very bleak situation. I don't know if they arrested anyone, but I saw they impounded at least one car. They might have impounded several cars. The one car I saw being impounded, it had a crucifix on it. It also had the letter Q. So that's going to draw, I mean, I'm not saying you shouldn't do that, but if you have any sign or anything, that's going to be just drawing attention to you. So it's not, I don't know. And there were some people shouting at the police, and I just walked by them because, like, if you're trying to shame the police, we're kind of past that at this point. There's no point in trying to shame them or trying to convince them. They've cast their lot. So that's what the situation is. I think the best way to deal with them is to say as little as possible to the police. Don't necessarily back down right away, but don't try to like get in their face and shout at them. That's sort of, strike a medium between them. Just show that you're not intimidated by them. It's make them use their energy. The bike cops actually can't go on the snow and the ice. And they're mainly relying on bike cops. They can't take their bikes actually aren't very good. I have a better bike than most bike cops. Bike cops can't go on the snow, they can't go on the ice. They'll slip. I have a mountain bike. I can go on the snow and the ice. But anyways, so they may have arrested someone, but they were definitely cracking down. I saw a big vehicle, like a big trailer. It said command vehicle. So they were really bringing out all the stops. Later, I did see a mounted unit, meaning horses, but that didn't come out until it was already not necessary. Like I said, if there was we were outnumbered by the police 3-1, or at least 2-1 the whole day. So it was a pathetic showing. But it just goes to show you that even with that outnumbering, the police still had to chase us all over the park. And what we would theoretically do is just keep meeting at different parts of the city. But the problem is that to be a leader, you'll be arrested and ticketed immediately. If you organize it on any social media like Facebook, the police will be monitoring these accounts. So it becomes very difficult to meet anywhere, to have any gathering. So there's already no public speaking. So now they're able to prevent a march for the first time. I mean, I heard that there was a small group of people marching, but I don't know from where they marched. I heard they were like less than 50 of them marching, because that's what they, you keep dispersing people from a certain location, so not enough people can gather together where the police can no longer contain them, and then they can start marching. The police were successful today, so that's why I say the Yahoo Nation has been crushed. At least in terms of public gatherings. That doesn't mean it can't come back later. We'll see what happens in the spring. I heard there's a protest in Ottawa this Sunday. By the time you're seeing this video, it'll probably be Sunday. I'm not going to make it to Ottawa, but be careful if you're there. Who knows what to expect? They may be doing more of these crackdowns. So basically, this is a lesson in needing to adapt, and we'll see what happens. But we've all known this moment was coming. This shouldn't be surprising. That what the police did was very predictable, because what we have been doing has been very predictable. We've been continuing to meet in the same place, which is, natural. That's convenient. There's a comforting aspect to always know where you can find the gathering. And this is a real disadvantage to us, that now we can no longer do that. So, but it just illustrates that you need to have connections between people. I hope that if you've been attending these protests over the last 10 months, that you have met people, that you've made connections, that you have a list of emails, because now you need it, right? Because now we're in the dark, right? Now you need to be contacting your friends. And what I want to see is, hopefully, ideally, maybe this is too optimistic of me, meet up at different parts of the city. Just get 20 people together. Just get 30 people together. Just a small group, enough that you have a gathering. It takes the police a long time to reorganize and figure, okay, now they're in this part of the city, now we got to go there. Can you imagine if we had 100 people coordinating? I know it's a lot to imagine. We had and half of them were going to be in one part of the city and half in the other, and then you just do it at the same time. Watch them try and shut it down. Just 100 people. Can you imagine if we have like 500 people show up? So, anyways, maybe I'm trying to make the most of a dreary situation. Stay in contact with your friends, but you can't really rely on social media anymore. Anyways, in conclusion, I don't believe this is the end, but it's for the time being, it's effectively the end of any anti-lockdown protests, any sort of public gatherings. But let's see if we can keep something going in the meantime. And I'm very grateful to have met all of you fine people over the past 10 months. It's been truly a blessing. It's really funny because 2020 was probably a very anti-social year for a lot of people, but for me it was an incredibly social year. I made so many friendships, and even into 2021, continuing to make friendships, meet new people, hang out in groups of people, more than I have ever done so in years. And I hope that maybe you had a similar experience. Hasta luego, amigos!